energy security, of course, has been at the center of this entire conflict. And joining us now from a very energy-rich state, Louisiana, Senator Bill Cassidy. Senator, welcome to you and welcome back to Fox News Sunday. Great to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So you just saw my interview with Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby on the escalating tensions with Russia and Ukraine. What was your takeaway from what you just heard, sir?
Yeah, this is a culmination of the United States kind of de-arming when it comes to energy diplomacy. Think about it, less than a year ago, under the previous administration, we were not only energy independent, but poised to have the ability to make the EU energy independent. In less than a year, we've lost that ability. And so now Russia has the leverage over the EU in terms of energy supply in order to kind of blackmail them into turning a blind eye. You could argue they're trying not to, but Germany's response has been quite muted to this apparently pending invasion. I would say that this is a culmination of a failed energy geopolitical policy.
Senator, on that note, General Keane and others have said, well, is it as much leverage as we make it out to be, considering that gas is not yet flowing through that Nord Stream 2 pipeline? It's not currently a revenue source for Vladimir Putin. So is it as much leverage as many are making it out to be, that pipeline?
There's still Nord Stream 1, and there's still liquefied natural gas shipments in 2. And by the way, energy prices are much higher in Europe right now than they traditionally are, and that's having an impact on the individual's pocketbook and upon their economy. So we've already seen a kind of hint of that leverage, and it could obviously increase should the Russians decide to further exploit.
All right, Senator, the president is strongly encouraging, meanwhile, and you just heard us talk about this a moment ago, encouraging Americans in Ukraine to leave as soon as possible, and says that there is no prospect for a U.S. military-led evacuation from inside Ukraine. So should the U.S. be doing more about this?
I agree with the president 100%. Use some common sense. We should not be endangering our soldiers, our Marines, etc., because somebody decides not to evacuate until after the fact. Get out. If there's a pending invasion, use common sense, leave.
All right, Senator, the president this week, meanwhile, vowed to end that Nord Stream 2 pipeline if Russia invades Ukraine. Germany said it is united with the U.S. in that decision. He did so standing next to President Biden at the White House. So if that pipeline, as we just discussed, remains halted, Germany will lean on other foreign nations, as you well know, for a significant amount of their energy needs. So what can we be doing as a country today, knowing the resources that we have and can tap into, as you just mentioned? What can we be doing to prepare for what will likely be an energy crisis in Europe if Russia does invade?
We must resume using America's resources, ramping them up in order to provide or replace that which Russia would provide. By the way, that means beginning to lease in the outer continental shelf off Louisiana, allowing development of oil and natural gas and public lands on the inland, and speeding up permitting for the LNG export facilities and pipelines that are currently not occurring. It could also include, by the way, permitting for the renewables to be able to ship their electrons. Right now, this administration is putting in amber the ability of the U.S. to expand its energy supply. That's why we're paying more for gas and natural gas. It's why the EU is. We have to ease that, not only for ourselves, but also for the EU.
Your home state of Louisiana, sir, provides more natural gas exports than any other U.S. state. And of course, we know you have access to a whole lot more. You and a few other Republican senators met this week with the EU Commissioner for Energy. Were there any promises made that we will be able to meet Europe's energy needs in the future?
Senators cannot promise if the administration slow walks everything by every means possible to decrease U.S. energy production. Now, the administration can take laws that are on the book, interpret them in such a way, sometimes in direct conflict with the stated means of the law, to slow down production. That's what this administration is doing. They're doing it in the name of lowering carbon intensity, so now Germany's burning coal instead of natural gas. Not only are we getting more carbon intensity, but we're also putting our European allies at threat of economic downturn and allowing them to be leveraged by Russia. This administration's energy policy is a failure in terms of the climate, in terms of national security, the economy, in terms of you name it.
Senator, I want to move on to the great mask debate. We saw a lot of it this week. And indeed, this week we saw Democrat and Republican governors alike either dropping or winding down their indoor or school mask mandates. In your state right now, Louisiana, the governor has encouraged mask wearing there, but says schools can opt out of masks as long as the schools follow CDC quarantine guidelines. Yet the CDC and the White House are still recommending wearing masks in high transmission areas. I want to show you a map of Louisiana. Department of Health provided this. It indicates community risk right now is very high all over the state. So should kids be wearing masks in Louisiana schools, sir?
We have to follow the science. If the science says that mask is only of marginal benefit, but that the cost to the child is of more than marginal cost, then we have to follow the science. And I'll just say that because clearly what has happened over the last year, children have suffered from being locked out of school and some say from wearing the mask. Let's follow the science. I'm a doc. That's what I believe. That's what we should do.
And that's what makes you a very unique senator, right? Having that MD. We've seen some major battles playing out over who has final say on mask mandates for the children, schools or the governors. In your home state, school mask mandate decisions are left up to local school districts. Is that the right approach, Senator, or should governors be able to supersede local authorities, as we've seen recently in states like Virginia?
I'm a conservative. I think that he or she who governs closest to those governed governs best. So I do think that should be a local decision. I say that as a rocked rib conservative.
Great to hear from you, Senator. Joining us from the great state of Louisiana, Senator Cassidy, thank you very much.